everyone, I'm here today with my favourite books of 2018. This is a very delayed video, and delaying it this long hasn't helped me in my picking process because I didn't have the best of reading years last year, but the books I read, I loved a lot of them, and a lot of the ones that I loved were in series, and in the end the only way I could make this list without having serious overspillage was to kind of cheat and pair books together if they were from the same series. So without further ado, I will tell you my 10 favourite books, sort of 2018. At number 10 we have got The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is a YA paranormal fantasy novel that I picked up early in 2018. It was one of the first books I read. Why is it the dog barks when I speak and stops when I stop? Hopefully we have peace now. As I was saying, this is one of the first books that I read in 2018 and I really enjoyed it, and it was difficult to know back then whether it was going to be a firm favourite in the top 10, and I'm so pleased actually to discover that it has made it onto this top 10 because it was everything I would want out of a novel. It's got the historical fiction bit thrown in because it's set in 1920s New York. So you've got the whole flapper times, but then you've also got the fantasy side of things, but then you've also got a bit of a mystery thriller aspect to it, and then there's the paranormal bit. It's like everything I love thrown into one. That was my take from this book. I do need to continue on with the series, and I'm annoyed with myself that I haven't yet, but at least it means that I still have all the goodness of the future of the series to come. At number 9 we have got Revival by Stephen King. This was the first Stephen King, and indeed still to this day only Stephen King novel I have actually read, so don't judge me that this may be one of my favourite reads of last year, yet might be one of his least favourite works. Well, it's not. Quite a few people like this book, but it's not up there with some of the greats, I think, is the point I'm trying to make. And I really do need to get some more Stephen King so I can actually kind of understand where Revival is in my own personal ranking of Stephen King stuff. But what the hey? I can't actually remember what this one was about anymore, except that it felt very much like a character study of the main character, and you're with him from a very young age as a child all the way up to, like, was he in his 50s or 60s at the end of the book? Either way, it was a journey, a real character journey, and it was a really interesting read for me. I loved it a lot, but I can see why people do struggle with it because it is quite slow. At number 8 we have got Skin Deep by Liz Nugent. This is a thriller that I picked up last year that really kind of just struck me. I loved this book. It was so dark and twisty, and again, it's about a woman named Cordelia, but you get her whole life progress from the her very young age up to the point of the end of the novel where everything's kicking off and twisting and twisting and twisting. So I loved this book. It's made me really want to check out more of Liz Nugent's work, yet I still haven't because I'm terrible. At number 7 we have got the beginning of my cheating. So at number 7 I have put Am I Normal Yet by Holly Bourne. But more than that, last year I also read How Hard Can Love Be? And also What's a Girl Gotta Do? So I am putting this whole trilogy in my number 7 slot because I can't pick between them. I loved them all. They were all fantastic. This is a YA contemporary series that's got feminism, friendship, you name it. I loved this series, and I think I did some reviews on it last year. I'm not sure. If I've got them, I will link them in the cards or the description down below. If you've never read this series and you like a bit of YA contemporary, you need to give these a go. They don't feel particularly young. They cover some quite difficult topics at times. So in the first one, for example, you've got the whole topic of OCD, for example. The second one follows family troubles and also love. The final one follows bullying along with friendship and feminist issues, and I'm trying to think, but I love this series. Highly, highly, highly recommend. At number 6, and this is where I started struggling a bit to rank where 6, 5, 4, 3 and 2 all are in order. So this order probably changes depending on my mood as much as anything. But at number 6 we have got The Woman at 72 Derry Lane by Carmel Harrington. I feel like this should be a lot higher than it was because this book, I don't feel like I've ever cried as much as I did when I read this book. I was an absolute mess. So this is a contemporary novel that follows a few different perspectives, and you're wondering for ages how all the perspectives are going to come together, and they do in many interesting ways. I don't want to say anything about this book here because I feel like I am at the point where I would probably accidentally spoil something because it's been like a year since I read it. So I will link my full spoiler-free review in the description below and also in the cards if I have the space. I now really desperately want to check out other stuff by this author because she blew me away. At number 5 we've got another cheating one. So it's This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada, but it's also This Cruel Design by Emily Suvada, and indeed also These Precious Scars by Emily Suvada. So this series is just blowing me away. I absolutely love this series. I had the chance to meet and interview Emily last year. I'll leave that linked as well somewhere. And along with my reviews of these books, I just absolutely adore this series. It's a YA sci-fi series, which isn't normally perhaps something I would go for. I'm not always the first to jump into sci-fi, not because I don't like it, but because I have a feeling it will confuse me or that I won't get it. And this series proves that I can get it and I can follow it. And this is such an easy series to follow. So if you have similar worries, give this a go. At number 4, I've got a fantasy book, and that is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I adored this book. I cannot say it enough. This world just blew me away. I've recently read the second book in the series Legendary, and if that doesn't make it onto my 2019 favourites, I will be very surprised because this series is just so well written. It's so creative. It's so immersive. You just want to keep turning the pages. I flew through this book, and why have you not read it yet? You should have read this book too because it's amazing. At number 3 we've got a slight change of tone here, and this is A Secret History of Witches. I picked this up a little bit on a whim. It was a book that I picked up from NetGalley because I was like, this sounds interesting, because you've got a family of witches and you kind of follow each generation as you go through their life cycles almost, and it's so dark and twisty in places, and I love the historical side of it. Like, it was very much felt like I was reading a real historical fiction about these women, even though these women were actually witches. And it goes from like whatever year it starts, I can't remember, but like several hundred years ago, and you go all the way up to like more recent times of during the war. I can't remember if it was the First World War or the Second World War, one of the wars. And it was just fabulous. I cannot recommend this book enough. It was so different, so refreshing, so engrossing. Again, I couldn't stop turning the pages, and I found a new favourite for life here, I think, in this book. Next we have the book that was at the top of my 2018 favourites so far video, and at the time I felt sure that it was going to take something really special to knock this off the number 1 spot, and indeed that has happened. But all the same, this is still clinging in at number 2, and this is Clean by Juno Dawson. This book blew me away. This is a YA novel about a girl who has a severe heroin addiction, and she is put into like a treatment centre, and it's just her journey on this, and I can't even begin to describe this book anymore because the feelings aren't fresh and raw enough. Again, I'm sure I've got a review for this, so I'll leave that linked somewhere so you can check my thoughts at the time out, because this will never be able to touch upon just how impactful this book was to me when I first read it, even though I've never had anything to do with drugs. I want to throw that out there too. This book was just phenomenal and quite a quick read from what I remember, so if you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. So if you haven't already guessed what's at number 1 of this list and what could possibly have knocked Clean off its top perch, you're probably living under a rock, because this book at number 1 is a book that I didn't stop going on about towards the end of the year. I read this book twice last year, or rather listened to the audiobook twice, because the moment I finished it, I restarted it. It was that kind of book for me. And this is, of course, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I can't begin to explain how much of an impact this book has had on me, how addictive I found this book, how real it all felt like it became, because the audiobook was presented in such a way where I felt like I was just in the world. I felt like Evelyn Hugo was real. I felt like the films were real. And even now I feel like I could reread this book again, and that would make it 3 times in like 6 months, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And again, this book isn't quite as fresh in my head as I would like it to be in order to be able to sing its praises fully, but I'm sure I've got a review somewhere, probably. If I have, I will leave that linked, along with all the other books that I've mentioned in this video. So I get that some of my choices are probably quite popular choices on here, but some of them are hopefully ones that you have never heard of. Please let me know if you made a favourite books of 2018 video, because I was really bad at keeping on top of watching BookTube around December and January time. So link me to yours in the comments down below and I will check it out. If you've got anything to say about any of these books that I have picked, again, drop me a comment down below. I would love to have a chat with you. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book views and other bookish content from me. And I will see you soon. Bye bye.